Hello everybody, Team Multech here, back at it with another discussion video. And this time I'm talking old school Go control. And what would happen if 51% or more of the percentage of the player base would end up that usually attends Konami's competitive events? Because there's all this speculation that WCQ attendance numbers are the highest that they've ever been. Don't buy into the hype. The game's still in trouble. And I'm going to explain to you why. The majority of those players are the same players that keep attending the event every year. A lot of those players that attend WCQs are players that are, for the most part, have been in the game forever now. Like, we're not really getting any new players at Worlds. And remember when this game was supposed to be a children's card game? Yeah. Tell me the last time you saw a kid top an event. The last time I remember seeing a kid topping like a really huge event is with PK Fire once, and that's it. Aside from that one time, I don't really recall any little kids topping events. And let's not even get started in the argument of women playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that's a whole nother bag of worms in itself. But I just wanted to bring to the discussion today, what if 51% of the competitive player base converted to Go format? And if you guys watch VCTFRS, aka Real Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist, he's saying that if 30% of the player base converts to Go format or playing other card games, that Yu-Gi-Oh's in trouble alone. Just 30% alone. Now, what if 51% were to convert to other card games or go back to old school Go format, where Konami's new products would not sell to the high majority of the player base? And I think that would bring really huge problems for Konami. And you should have figured that this was going to be a GOAT video, considering that the thumbnail that I have here is going to be GOAT stuff. But yeah, GOAT format is one of the most popular formats from back in the day. And Konami just refuses to support it, like different formats where certain cards will be legal. Like Konami doesn't really like to support that. And a lot of locals, if not all locals, do not support that either and do not allow that as competitive events in their tournaments. Very linear and refusing to go back to older and much more fun and entertaining formats. And the reason that you see people playing more Go format now these days is because Yu-Gi-Oh's just getting more and more stale over a period of time. Like, you guys saw my Time Lord video. To make a budget deck with decks like True Draco, Phantasm Spirals, and the generic Time Lord archetype, aka Camion, Zephion, and Mation, the Time Lord being the thing, it gets harder and harder to take a budget deck and be able to go to your locals every week or so and manage to make top 8 or top 16 with it, depending on how big your locals is. It's getting harder and harder to do that. And as Yu-Gi-Oh gets as it gets more and more harder in Yu-Gi-Oh, just for you to be able to top your locals, people are just gonna convert to older formats or jump to another hobby. Because in my school, players are dropping like flies. Back in the 2014-2015 era, we had more players. Duelist Alliance format was an enjoyable format. But after that format dropped, they ended up dropping. And Necros should have never been hit the way that it was. I'm going to keep arguing that until some people finally agree with me. Necros should have never been hit the way he got hit. Like, there was no reason to hit a deck that was so expensive like that down to the core, because it just needed a few hits and it would become too weak to deal with full power, Perform Agent Powers, and people would simply just convert to that for the format, and Necros would have been able to be seen as a potential rogue deck. Not budget, but rogue. There's no reason to kill off a deck where you're spending almost $1,500 on for main, extra, and side. There's no reason to kill off a deck like that. I mean, the difference between that and Zoo is that deck managed to get some screen time for a good 6 months to a year. That Necros God is one of the best decks, if not the best deck of the format. And Zoo was basically just a financial rape on Konami's part. That's all Zoo really was. And I'm not gonna lie, back in Zoo format, I dropped competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for a few months because I would just refuse to spend the money necessary to play Zoo or counter Zoo. You had to spend a lot of money in order to be able to do one of those two things, and it's formats like that make players just want to convert back to old school GOAT control. And that's where I bring this argument today. What? It's like I said before, 51%, the mass majority. They start making locals specifically designed for GOAT control and tournaments that are not affiliated with Konami in any way. What's going to happen if people decide to do that? They start their own locals. They with their own community-wise raised money, where it's not influenced by Konami's authority at all, and people could just play random formats or old school formats at their locals, like say Duelist DA format or Dragon Ruler format or Spellbook format or Plant Synchro days back in when that deck was actually a deck. And as Yu-Gi-Oh becomes more and more unbalanced over a period of time, where budget decks are going to see less and less plays, expect to see more and more players dropping like flies. Because it's like I've said in my last video, if we come to the point that Light Sworns and Heralds are no longer fucking relevant, then I'm fucking out. That's it. I'm not going to be sticking around in the game where my two most favorite decks can't even compete anymore. There's just no point for that. You should be able to play something you like at a decently competitive level and maybe not win all the time, but get some average tops with it. That's how I feel about the game. And we're turning away from that faster and faster. And that's why you see all the GOAT format cards going up in price. All you people that have been hoarding away those cards for years, shout outs to you, because you're making money right now. You're making possibly hundreds or thousands of dollars for some playsets of metamorphoses that went up from freaking a few bucks. Even the common ones are being sold out right now because the high rarity ones are just so expensive that not all old school Go players could afford them. So even the commons are selling right now. If you held on to a lot of these cards, your shit's selling. You're making money if you held on to these cards from all the way back when they were good back then, they were banned back then, to now. You're making bank right now. And this is why I'm saying Konami really does need to get their priorities straight and get their shit in check. Because if they don't get their shit together, like you saw the card shop robbery in the video I did about that, and explain what Konami can do and what they should be doing in order to take an active role in the community to prevent shit like that from ever happening again. Guess what? That's another card shop that's probably closing for good this time. Konami just lost more business revenue from one shop getting robbed. How does that make you feel, Konami? If you're actually watching my videos. But yeah, Go control format actually threatens Konami's business. Because if people decide to play tournaments outside of Konami's official authority, there's nothing Konami can do about it. And when that starts happening, that's when the game's gonna start dropping like flies. Like, that's when the game is gonna fucking drop. And that's when the game's gonna get turned into a train wreck. And the meta, and the concept of the meta is gonna go down with the fucking train. It really is. The meta is gonna like Yu-Gi-Oh is gonna become a train wreck when Go Control becomes more popular than everyday average competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. And guess what? Spending $1,000+ on the deck is gonna become a thing of the past, and that concept and idea will fall down and will go down with the goddamn fucking train. It really will. Because there's nothing Konami will be able to do about it if people decide to create their own locals and rent out space to start a little bit of locals like this all around the city. Konami had multiple opportunities to engage in these equal opportunities for all people. Konami has been given multiple opportunities to communicate with Zodiac Duelists on Facebook. Konami has been given multiple opportunities to communicate with the Yugi-tubers that basically threw away their lives in order to do this for a living. Take a look at John Moore, aka House of Champs. He basically does Yugi-tubing for a living. That's basically his 24/7 job. Konami should be reaching out to those that do this for them more often. And actually communicate with the Yugi-tubers and Facebook and online Facebook and Twitter groups like Zodiac Duelist. They need to start communicating with the people, because if they do not, they are going to suffer badly. And those of you that invest in meta decks are probably going to end up having zero returns on your investment, seeing the collapse of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being imminent. And conclusion made, it's just sad to see the game that back in its prime that used to be really good turn into this living breathing garbage can, because that's what it's become. Seeing deck, like when Konami produces shit like True Draco, they're saying we don't want your rogue anti-meta decks to be relevant ever again, because they saw what barrier statues did in the 2017 Asian Championships. I'm telling you guys, man, they saw what happened there, and that's why they produce True Draco, because they know True Draco counters the barrier statue concept entirely. And up to this point, barrier statue is definitely one of the top 3 rogue anti-meta decks that I would suggest to you, up to the point of True Draco becoming the top tier deck. And with True Draco around, you can't run barrier statues anymore. They're useless. They're worthless now. At least until True Draco gets hit. And even when True Draco gets hit, you're still going to see variants of it around as engines in other decks, so they can simply use that as an engine to avoid barrier statues from locking them out so badly. It'll get to the point that you main decking or side decking Mask of Restrict will be entirely pointless, seeing how cards like Zephion the Time Lord have already taken competitive surface in several side decks. So this is basically my Go Control discussion video. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think the points that I hit perfectly. Tell me what points you think were flawed. Team Tech signing out. Do not forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel. Team Tech signing out. Peace.